Thompson, and I'm going to talk about my miracle from exercise, diet, and water. So this is the Dave Thompson story. Okay. From 1998 to 2003, I had ulcerative colitis. It was the worst case that Hamilton General Hospital had seen in 25 years. I was treated with the highest dosages of prednisone. I was on 17 pills a day, and from the side effects, but I would refuse to have my colon removed and have a bag. 2003, finally, I had my colon removed and then reversed at Mount Sinai Hospital, Toronto, by Dr. McLeod, co-founder of this surgical procedure, which now is commonly done throughout the world. So I don't have a bag, and I'm no longer on the prednisone as of 2003. 2004 to 2014, over 10 years, I had constant bowel obstructions, up to staying 3 days at a time in the hospital. So bad I would vomit my own feces. 2005, I had ventral hernia surgery due to being on high doses of prednisone. In 2007, I had ventral hernia. I had emergency surgery on a blocked bowel. 2008, my hip condition started to show and breakdown linked to high doses of prednisone, which caused restricted blood circulation to my hip bones. I was diagnosed with avascular necrosis of the hips. My hip bones were dying. In 2009, I had monthly bowel obstructions due to scar tissue adhesions to my intestines. I had a ventral hernia surgery and the scar tissue was scraped from my intestines. This resulted in my intestines being punctured in 3 places. 2009, continued at the hospital. I became septic poisoned from the intestinal fluids. This caused spinal infection at my discs T10 and T11, which ended up destroying them. I lost the sight of my left eye due to detached retina from the trauma of the surgery. They opened me up so my guts were open for 5.5 months. I had a large clear plastic sheet covering my gut opening, bonded to my body by putty. I was basically looking at my intestines for the whole time, seeing intestines squirt out their acid fluids that would constantly leak out and burn my skin, which was very painful. 2009, continued still at the hospital. I had no food or fluids by mouth for the entire 5.5 months. Nutrition and fluids were all by IV via PICC line. My spinal infection was not diagnosed for over 3 months while I was at the hospital. During this time, I was medicated for my spinal pain with 10 milligrams of Dilaudid every 2 hours. I would sleep for 1.5 hours and then wait for a half hour to get my pain med again. This happened hours after hours, days after days, weeks and months. This is how I lived day to day. 2009 continued in the hospital. The pain would be so bad I would flop in my bed like a fish out of water due to having to lie on my back because of the spine pain. If I did get up, the intestinal fluids, acids would then leak out onto my skin, burning me, which was very painful. The spine pain was finally discovered 3 months into my stay at the hospital by a bone scan exam. Spinal infection was treated with the most powerful antibacterial medicine known to mankind. It's piperacillin trazobactam, only used in last case scenarios, in extreme cases. I had surgery then to put me all back together. It was successful, but my incision did reopen, and I had to have packing for 2 months. 2009 continued. I returned home with an IV waste pump and a PICC line for my antibacterial meds and on high levels of hydromorphone for pain. I got weaned off of the pain meds and finished the antibacterial IV meds and pump. In 2010, I returned to work unsuccessfully. I started back on pain meds while still trying to work. I started with T3s, then I went to Percocets, then I went to the fentanyl pain patch, all not effective. 2010, that work continued. Then I started to go to the Rothbard Pain Clinic, and I started to receive spinal injections of 3 kinds: local freezing, nerve blocks, and epidurals. At best, it would work for 1 day. It wouldn't work at all, or it'd even make it worse. It all depended on where the needle was located in my spine for the injection. 2010, that work continued. A Rothbard pain specialist then prescribed me to morphine by pill. Still no effect. On 4 different occasions, I had to leave work due to incredible pain, and I called up my GP and told him I cannot work anymore. There's too much pain, and I'll need to go on long-term disability. Well, the next morning would come, and I'd say, screw that, I'm going back to work, I'm not giving up. I'm not giving in, I'm not going on long-term disability. By this time, I was only lasting to stay at work for 2 hours. And being there, I couldn't do anything because of the effects of the morphine. So in September 2010, I finally had to succumb to going on long-term disability. 2010, while on long-term disability, the Rothbard pain specialist prescribed me to 160 milligrams of Oxycontin, the highest dose. Still not effective. Then I was prescribed double the maximum for Oxycontin, 80 milligrams 4 times daily, 320 milligrams doubly allowed maximum, which kept my pain under control, but then was the start of me to be bedridden and not being able to take care of myself. That's equivalent to 600 milligrams of morphine. You know, and I ask, how can anyone live like that? 2010, my right hip broke. The top portion of the ball of my hip collapsed, disintegrated due to lost circulation of the hips. 2011, I moved back to hometown Guelph from Markham, hopefully to get some help from some old friends and some family. I got a new GP doctor in Guelph. I was set up for hip surgery to replace my hip. After waiting a year, for some reason, being Zulu'd on pain meds or whatever, I called up and canceled my hip surgery. A year then passed from there before I decided to reschedule my hip surgery. And then from that point, it took a year before I actually got the surgery. The pain from the broken hip coupled with my spine pain was unbearable. In total, I spent 3 years trying to get around on a broken hip, just with a cane and a walker. The Oxycontin was changed to Oxy-Neo by the government due to it being used as a street drug. The Oxy-Neo pain med stopped working after 4 hours. It was supposed to last for 6 for me. After 4 hours, it would stop working and I would start to go into withdrawal symptoms. My pain meds was finally changed back to hydromorphone, the highest dosage that can be issued. It was 25 milligrams of the slow-acting hydromorphone 4 times daily, with 8 milligrams of fast-acting hydromorphone. That's fast-acting. So again, 132 milligrams of hydromorphone a day. Now I'm bedridden for 19 hours or more a day due to the effects of the pain medicine. I could not take care of myself, and the only solution that was given to me by my GP doctor in Guelph was to live in an old age home, which I refused. 2011, I went to the Toronto Western Hospital to see the top spine surgeon, and I was told that there was nothing that could be done surgically to help me. 2011, I went to the top pain specialist in Toronto. The only thing I was told was to get off the hydromorphone pain meds. And at the time, I was like, yeah, right, I'm gonna do that. Thank you. So I wasn't told anything about hydromorphone at these levels is only meant for short-term use, or it's used for terminal cancer patients, because hydromorphone at this level is killing you and it's destroying your organs. I was on the hydromorphone for a total of 4 years, not weeks, months, years. 2011, I woke up in the Guelph General Hospital. I had no idea why I was there. I was told I OD'd on the hydromorphone pain med and Ativan I used for anxiety. I was then transferred to the Guelph Homewood. I was asked if I tried to commit suicide, and I told them I didn't know. I stayed in the Homewood for 9 months, and they could not get me stable enough for me to return home to fend for myself. I was totally lost, hopeless, depressed, and confused. There was an attempt to get me off the hydromorphone pain med at the Homewood by going cold turkey, which failed miserably. I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes at the Homewood. I could not take the diabetic medicine metformin due to the fact that I didn't have a colon and I was getting several bowel movements an hour. I was so dehydrated, they had to revive me by IV. While at the Homewood, I did manage to teach myself to do portrait art, which I'm pretty good at. 2012, in the Homewood, after 9 months, they told me that there's nothing else that they could do for me, that they were going to ship me to the Freeport Hospital and see if they could help me. I spent 3 more months at the Freeport Hospital, and I was told that I wasn't going to spend the rest of my life institutionalized in hospitals, and that they would help me find an apartment and give me home care from their transitional outpatient team of nurses. The 3 months I was at Freeport was to coincide for me to go straight from Freeport to the General Hospital in Guelph to have my hip replaced. During my time at the Freeport Hospital, I found an apartment in Kitchener, and the Freeport transitional team helped me set up my apartment and take me out to buy home necessities. My hip was finally replaced in August 2012 by Dr. Armstrong at the Guelph General Hospital. In 2012, continued, I returned to my new apartment after my hip surgery. I had daily visits in the beginning from the Freeport Transitional Nursing Team. I also had weekly assistance for home upkeep and getting groceries to help me run errands. I was still bedridden for 19 plus hours. I got my new GP doctor, Dr. Tenke in Kitchener, thank God. My monthly bouts of bowel obstructions, being hospitalized for up to 3 days at a time. Was told by a surgeon at the Grand River Hospital that any surgery for my bowel obstructions was to be avoided at all costs due to the complications of adhesions to my intestines. Every time though I was hospitalized, every time that I was hospitalized for bowel obstructions, Dr. Tenke lowered my hydromorphone daily amounts allotted by prescription. Thus started me to be weaned off my pain meds. November 2014, I was down to 6 milligrams of hydromorphone a day. I went cold turkey from there straight to medical marijuana that I applied for by myself over the internet using Skype. I did medical marijuana vaping, smoking for 6 weeks. I turned out to be allergic to it. Everything that it was supposed to do did the opposite. I went from vaping it to smoking 10 joints in a row or until I was completely obliviated and passed out. I would wake up and then smoke myself till I was obliviated and passed out. I did this day after day and week after week. This is how I lived. Maybe over the span of 2 days, I would have 1 bowl of cornflakes. My hunger was completely suppressed. There was absolutely no sense of euphoria, just confusion and falling down all over the place. 2014, I was diagnosed with Loss of circulation below my knees by Dr. Tanky. My legs below my knees were retaining water, swollen, and the hair off my toes had already died off, which are the first signs of lost circulation. Was told by Dr. Tanky I was on my way to losing my legs due to gangrene. I was told to start to exercise every day, which I did not. 2015, I voluntarily got myself together to go to the Grand River Hospital while I was on the marijuana, to get away from the marijuana and recover from the withdrawal symptoms of the hydromorphone, and thankfully they took me in. I had a couple stays at the hospital, the Grand River Hospital, over a 4-month period until they got me stable enough to return home. This is a picture of me at 283 pounds. Okay, I started to go to the YMCA just to get out of bed and to get out of my apartment since I wasn't held captive by the pain meds. This is what I was facing: high blood pressure, high blood sugar, high cholesterol, constant bowel obstructions, high liver count, depression, anxiety, lost circulation below my knees, and I was near weighing 300 pounds. This was the mountain that faced me that I had to stand up to. I first started by exercising using the recumbent bike. All other cardio machines either gave me pain or my legs were too weak to use. The recumbent bike had the pedals out in front of me, which took the pressure off my spine and my hips. In May 2015, I started just to go to work out on the recumbent bike 7.5 minutes a day. Then after a week, I went up to 15 minutes. A couple of weeks after that, I went to 30 minutes, 2 15-minute sessions with a 5-minute break in between. This is when everything started to click for me. At the end of every minute, I would go as fast as I could go for 10 seconds. Now I started sweating profusely. The instrument on the bike was showing that my heart rate was increasing. Now I knew I was doing some real work and I just wasn't going through the motions. I started to notice my pants loosening. Then I was hooked. June 2015, at the end of June, after 6 weeks working out 6 days a week, I had lost 26 pounds. Up to this point, I never believed anyone could lose weight by exercising. Everyone that I ever knew that ever tried to lose weight by exercising failed. July 2015, this is when I changed my diet. I was having 12 to 15 cans of Diet Cola a day. I was eating whole pies, cakes, muffins, chips and dip, ice cream, fast foods, you name it, I was eating it. Basically, I removed all my carbs from my diet and I started drinking 3 to 5 liters of water a day. I had no processed foods. August 2015, by now, with diet, exercise, and water, the fat was just melting off me. I increased my workouts to 4 15-minute sessions with a 5-minute break in between each one. Again, at the end of every minute, I went as fast as I could go for 10 seconds. By year end, in December of 2015, I had lost a total of 92 pounds, 10 inches off my waist. This is a picture of me standing in a pair of my old pants. I had, at the end of the year, 2015, I had my blood work done. And now everything now was perfectly normal. Blood pressure, normal. Blood sugar, normal with not using diabetic meds or insulin. Cholesterol, normal. Liver count, normal. I was walking without a walker. Depression, anxiety, gone. No swelling or retaining water below my knees, and blood circulation had returned. I had no bowel obstructions. I had psoriasis for 30 years, now completely gone. In 2016, I've been getting regular blood work done every 3 to 4 months with all my symptoms and blood count being normal. I have now incorporated using weights in my workout along with cardio. Approximately 15 minutes of cardio with 30 minutes of weights while resting in between each exercise. And this is how I did it. And this is my miracle from exercise, diet, and water. So today and beyond, this is the new Dave. I volunteer to introduce activity and exercise to Kitchener's less fortunate. I provide instruction, inspiration, peer support, using myself as an example of how exercise can benefit your health and mental well-being. I find it very gratifying to give back to the community that's helped me so much. Today I'm happy, I'm content. I still live in a lot of pain, and while at home, I am horizontal. But I'm still a million times better than what I was before. Thank you.